Hey guys, Akil here. In today's podcast, we're going to dive into the topic of overcomplicating things and why people purposely do it to avoid being successful. It's been a while since I've had this, but I had a breakup last night, guys. I had a breakup, not with my wife or anything like that, don't worry. But I had a breakup, and it brought me back to like the high school days of having those awkward conversations. It was a trader who was a client of mine a long time ago, back in the Trade and Power days. And it was someone who I continued to talk to. I continued to help, as I help everyone out there on the internet. If they have a question, I answer it. Really up until this day. And we had this conversation yesterday, and I'm 99% sure I'm not in the wrong here. But I want to ask you guys a question. I want to ask you guys, how would you answer this question? Are you guys okay doing that for me? This little exercise? Give me a yes if you're okay. Because again, I'm 99% sure I'm not in the wrong, but I want to make sure. So the question was, Akil, I have my next set of questions. These questions come in like every, I feel like 6 months or something like that. It's random. I'm still struggling with my process. Can you explain what I need to think of to discover this? I'm having problems with my routine. I'm noticing this is a major problem. So what's the first answer that comes to mind? I'm having trouble with my trading process. I'm having trouble with my trading routine, essentially, is what the trader asks. Or she says, have you got a trade plan? That would be Orsi's first response. Anything else? Put yourself in the shoes of Akil. Have you learned the basics? Bobby says, same as Orsi. Do you have a process, a plan, etc.? Orsi says, is there a time frame suited for your lifestyle? See a few people typing, so we'll let everyone get a chance to participate. But these are sounding pretty consistent with my response. I'm feeling good about myself. Again, I'm 99.9% sure I'm on the right side of things because I'm pretty even and with my responses and stuff. Mara says, find what time frame works best for you. Satan says, I would say, hey guys, wait a minute, hey, wait. Hey, Satan. Anyone else? I see one more person typing. I see Prasant, and Prasant says, why is the process routine not working? If it isn't working, then they need to review their current process. And then Matthew's about to lay the hammer down. I know it. Jagger says, back testing. Work on positive habits in general. So I said this. I want to let you know what I want your opinion on my thought. I said, for your process, you simply need to go through your rules and write them down in a step-by-step way. I would suggest using an if-then syntax, as that's a good way to do so. Now, is that a fair response to it, or was I off board there? Because that's what started the dump. Oh man, it got bad after that. So I thought that was fair. I thought I heard I'm having problems with my process. So the way I interpret it when I hear people, and I've been coaching for a while now, right? 2012, I think I started, right? The first thing I think of when I hear I'm having trouble with my process is that, or routine, is that there are inconsistencies in how I trade. It could be inconsistencies in the process of how I look for trades, like what time frames I go to, what pairs I look for. It could be inconsistencies in my actual rules for trading. Sometimes I look for this, sometimes I look for that. So when I hear problems with process or routine, which are kind of the same thing, I always think, if then syntax, right? Write your process, what you're supposed to do, write it down step by step. Step 1, look at the daily time frame. Step 2, identify key levels of structure, right? Step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. It was a very general question, yeah, and hard to give a specific answer, right? I'm glad you said that, Bobby, because again, so what happened was after this, I got a very, maybe I took it the wrong way. I don't think so, but I got a really, what I thought was a rude and disrespectful response. Keep in mind, this isn't a tier 1 member. This is someone that I'm just helping out the goodness of my heart because they were a former client and I'm a nice guy. And the response I got was, well, did you really think that I didn't know that? And then another response, oh, and this too. That was the response I got. And I was shocked. I thought this would open up the door to the next thing and being helpful. And that was the response I got. And I responded by saying, hey, no need to be disrespectful. And then long story short, it went on this big kind of thing about how I've never helped. Back years and years ago when he was a paying client. I never helped. For the past, 8 years that I've still been reaching out to you, answering every question that you have. When you're not a paying client, I've never helped. And the fact is that everything I've told you doesn't actually help. Now, the reality is that trading isn't too complicated. The reality of the fact is that this trader is overcomplicating things. This trader is not focusing on the simple stuff like having a process. And perhaps that's why the advice that we give isn't helping. Because I've known this trader for a while, and it's one of those situations where it's the same mistake being made every year. And because it's the same mistake being every year, it requires the same response year after year after year, right? Nothing changes as far as the response. The thing that needs to change is the action that you're taking in handling your trading. But it was funny. We got on going because and he couldn't. It was the fact that I don't take disrespect lightly, right? And we went on for a little bit, and I was trying to tell him that this is Sunday night. I'm sitting here spending time with my family, and because I know you, I took the time out of playtime with my kids to respond to you. And I don't need praise. I don't need you to be like, oh, Akil, you're the best. I don't require that. But at least like a thank you, or at least like not saying that, oh, you're wasting my time when I'm taking time out of my day to help you out of the goodness of my heart. And the guy couldn't grasp this concept. It was just the fact that you never helped me. You've never been an assistant. I keep asking you questions and I keep needing help in my trading. And then all you give me is stuff like process and IPDE and all the stuff that really matters and blah, 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 blah. And it was mind blowing. I told my wife, I was like, it was so weird. It was so weird. Like it's weird that people just can't understand certain things. And it's one of those things. It happens in trading a lot. With our personal trading, where I always said this, the game-changing moment in my trading came when I looked myself in the mirror and realized it was my fault, right? I went through this stage where I was blaming system, blaming coaches, blaming broker, blaming government, blaming market, blaming whatever, Illuminati, right? Whoever I can think of for my flaws as a trader, right? I just can't win. The game is rigged, right? And I never made any process while I was doing that, because every time I goofed up or didn't do something I wasn't supposed to do, I had an excuse for it. So I never actually took blame. And because I didn't took blame, I never actually worked on what I needed to work on to become good. And it wasn't until I remember it was honestly me doing an evaluation. I forgot who told me to do it, but I did an evaluation of my trades. I did kind of like an A/B, a split test, where it's like the trades I took versus the trades that I should have taken or how I should have taken them, like if I followed my plan. And then I realized that most of my flaws in trading were due to my own mistakes. And I looked myself in the mirror and I said, Akil, you suck. You got to be better. And it wasn't until I kind of owned it that I started kind of making the change. It was kind of a relief. It's tough to do. Don't get me wrong. It's very tough for us to accept blame, accept accountability. It's very, I mean, sure, it's easier for some people than others, but it's very difficult for most people. But once I did it, it was kind of like, because then I knew exactly what I had to do. And my problem wasn't actually doing it. It was kind of accepting that I had to do it. And it was, I feel this is the same situation with this guy, because it's been, I don't know how many years on the hamster wheel. And it's a thing where it's easier to shift blame. It's easier to blame the coach, who's helped thousands of traders out there. Some very, very, very successful traders. Traders that have gone full time, traders that have opened up hedge funds, traders that are now working for prop firms. So what I'm teaching and preaching it's not BS. I'm not teaching you junk. The biggest difference between success and failure is, are you going to do what is necessary to achieve it? But it's easier instead of, and Orsi just said, or Amari, said, it sounds like he wants trading to be difficult, and your answer makes trading sound so basic. Yeah, and if you know anything about me, I'm a basic dude, right? I think my gift and a curse, it was a curse during elementary school and middle school and high school, but my gift is that I can make something complicated very simple, because that's how my brain works. But one of the reasons that we want to make stuff complicated is because it's an excuse, right? It's the same thing about people being scared of success, right? If something is simple, it's looked at as being easier to do, which puts more pressure on you actually doing it. If something is complicated, it's very easy to make an excuse for why you can't do it, right? Does that make sense, guys? If I tell Roberto, hey, Roberto, what's 1 + 1? And he can't get it, like, it's on him. We're like, hey, Roberto, like, you should be able to do this, man. 1 + 1, that's simple. If you can't do it, that's a you problem. If I give Roberto this crazy equation, well, now all of a sudden, if he doesn't solve it, there's not as much blame. It's like, well, I didn't get it. Yeah, but it was so difficult that, most people, I wasn't supposed to get it. So it's not really my fault. So that's kind of a measure people use to self-sabotage. Is they make things more complicated because they don't actually want to be successful. I'm sure they want to be successful, but they don't actually want to be successful. You see the same thing in business as well. I've been in a lot of business partnerships, and something that, or maybe not partnerships, but I've been in a lot of business partnerships, but a lot of business kind of startup ideas that never get going. And do you know the main reason why, not most businesses in general, but most people that are entrepreneurs or want to be owners, you know why they never get started? Because they put too much focus on the stuff that doesn't matter, right? There's all this focus on, we got to get a mission statement. We have to have this set of goals. I got to get back when you actually used like paper and stuff like that. We got to get the what's it called? The symbol, not the symbol, the logo. And you spend all this time on all of the stuff that doesn't matter instead of focusing on the stuff that does matter. And part of that is because they fear doing the hard stuff, right? The mission statement and the logo, right? That's busy work, right? It's not too hard to do, but it can keep you busy for a while and push back the thing that you actually need to do, which is learn how to run a successful business. But they spend so much time on that stuff because they never want to get to the stuff that actually matters, because that's the hard stuff. And once they get to the hard stuff, then it actually makes a difference. No one cares about your logo. I shouldn't say that. There's value to a logo, but in the bigger scheme of things, no one cares about your logo. You can always change it later. But if they spend time on that, they can push back what really matters. And I think people overcomplicate trading for that same reason. Because at the end of the day, and I read you guys the question, I'm having problems with my process and my routine. And then he went on. I didn't answer these questions because I told him I was done. But part of it was like, hey, I've got these different strategies and I'm trying to look for a hierarchy of strategies. And when do I take this trade and when do I take that trade, right? What does that all come down to, guys? If you've got these different strategies that you're using and you want to know when to take this and when to take that, or how do I grade this one above this one? Is that any different than your process and your routine? If you have a solid process, should you have contradicting signals? If you have a solid process and a routine, should there be any questions about when to take one trade and when to take another trade? I stole your line the other day, Orsi, from I think it was the Q&A we had. I said we were talking about candlestick colors and all that stuff yesterday, and Orsi was like, basically, I don't give a damn about candlestick colors. Like, if it meets the rules, take the damn trade. So I threw that in there yesterday. I'm like, if it meets the rules, take the damn trade. Now, if you have contradicting signals, you need to go back to your rules and either change your rules so they don't contradict or change your portfolio. But it's all this fancy stuff, like Amari mentioned, where I need to have a hierarchy, and I need the grade A trades versus the grade B trades and the grade C trades, and when do I take one versus the other? When do I take this versus that? Work on your process. Work on your process. Because if you have a step-by-step process, there's no questions. There's no when do I take this trade or when do I take that trade. You work through the process. And when you get to the end of the process, it says execute the trade. If you make it to the end, you win. If you don't make it to the end, it's a non-trade. It is as simple as that. Now, creating the process and rules, that's more complicated, that's more in depth. But to answer the question that we asked originally, focus on your process. Simple. But it is what it is. So we had a breakup. This is podcast material. Maybe. I don't want to offend. I don't care. No, his loss. I think the biggest thing for me, again, it wasn't the fact that I do get frustrated when traders I work with don't make progress. I actually do want to see you guys succeed. So like when I'll get emails sometimes, this is Akil, it's not working, I'm quitting. Like I get upset, not upset with myself, not upset with the person, right? But it's just like I want to see people win. But the biggest thing with this is I've gone out my way to help someone that I know it's not all about the money, but I'm helping you out of the goodness of my heart. And you feel so entitled and think you can talk to me any way you can. That's where I draw the line, is respect. That's where I draw the line. Again, I don't need praise. I don't need any of that stuff. I don't really care for that stuff. But don't disrespect me. Whether you're a paid client or not, don't disrespect me. Because we've had that with paid clients before. And I've shot emails to Darren saying, hey, we need to remove this guy. We'll refund the money. Get him out of here. I don't care. Oh, Akil, but I'm paying you. But I don't care about your monthly subscription. We care about working with good people. We care about our community. That's what matters first. So there's my morning rant. I said it was short. It wasn't short. I apologize. But that's my rant. So don't you dare cross me, guys. Don't you dare cross me. You'll be next. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, do me a favor, share it with your social media community. Don't be afraid to tag me in it as well. I'll go ahead and hit that like button, show you some love. Also, make sure you head over to www.tier1trading.com. We got a whole bunch of cool stuff over there, including a free 4-part training series called The Truth About Forex Trading. If you haven't looked at it already, make sure you check it out. Make sure you start taking the steps necessary to put yourself in a position to become a consistently profitable trader in the near future.